So today we're going to dive into a pretty radical spiritual idea from the 19th century that honestly feels like it could have been written yesterday. It comes from a young woman who was on her way to becoming a saint, but she felt completely and totally out of her league. So what did she do? She basically invented her own path to greatness, one that just flipped the whole idea of heroic achievement right on its head. Let's get into this elevator to heaven. I mean, it's a question we all bump up against, right? You have these big dreams, these huge aspirations, but then you look in the mirror and you see all your limitations, all your weaknesses. You feel like this tiny grain of sand trying to become a mountain. So what on earth are you supposed to do when the goal just feels impossibly high? Okay, so here's our roadmap for this little explainer. First, we're going to look at the problem, this crazy intimidating stairway to sainthood. Then, we'll follow our author as she searches for a totally new way. We'll see her discovery of a spiritual elevator to heaven, find out how she put it to the test when things got tough, and finally, we'll see the beautiful result, her canticle of love. So, let's set the scene. For centuries, the path to holiness felt like one thing, a gigantic, incredibly steep staircase to heaven, and every single step was some heroic effort, some massive sacrifice. It was a daunting idea for anyone, for sure, but for our author, it felt completely, utterly impossible. This is really how she saw herself, not as some hero in training, but as a single, totally insignificant grain of sand. She'd look at the great saints from history, these spiritual giants, these mountains, and just feel this crushing sense of inadequacy. The distance between them and her felt just infinite. So on one side, you have the traditional way, right? Big, flashy, heroic acts of virtue. It's the kind of stuff legends are made of. But then, on the other side, you have her reality. She felt small, she felt weak, and she felt like she was fundamentally incapable of climbing that stairway. She even wrote, "I can never grow up." The old way just wasn't designed for someone like her. But, and this is where the story gets really interesting, instead of just throwing in the towel and giving up, she completely refused to be discouraged. Her feeling of being so small became the actual catalyst for this groundbreaking search for a brand new way forward. You gotta love her logic here. She basically reasons that the desire itself, the fact that she even wants to be a saint, has to be proof that it's possible. Why? Because God wouldn't plant an impossible dream in her heart. So her littleness isn't a bug, it's a feature. It just means she needs to find a different path, a new, more direct route. Remember, she's living at the tail end of the 19th century, this incredible age of inventions. She's seeing unbelievable technological progress all around her. And she has this brilliant insight. Hey, if humans can invent elevators to make climbing buildings easy, then surely God must have a spiritual version of that for souls like hers. And boom, there it is, this central metaphor that's going to define her entire spiritual life. She's not even going to try to climb the impossible staircase. She's going to find an elevator. And that one simple idea changes absolutely everything. So she sets out to find this spiritual elevator. And this section, this is all about her big aha moment, that incredible discovery that would eventually be known all around the world as the Little Way. So she pours through the scriptures, she's searching for a clue, any clue, and then she finds it. This one verse becomes the key that unlocks everything. It's an open invitation, not for the strong or the mighty, but specifically for the little one. This was all the confirmation she needed. Her weakness wasn't some problem she had to fix. It was the very ticket she needed for the ride. So here's the bottom line. The Little Way isn't about doing great things. It's about being small and letting God do the great thing, which is to lift you up. The work isn't in the climbing. The work is in the trusting. It's this radical shift away from heroic self-reliance to a simple, childlike dependence. And here, she just spells it out for us. The elevator isn't a thing. It's not a machine. It's the loving arms of God. And so her job, her spiritual task, is not to grow up into some spiritual giant. No, it's the opposite. She has to stay little and even become smaller so that she can be more easily lifted. Okay, this all sounds really beautiful in theory, but what does it actually look like day to day? I mean, how does this elevator work when you're dealing with the frustrations and just plain annoying parts of everyday life? Let's see how she put it to the test. And this is absolutely crucial. Staying little is not about being a doormat or doing nothing. It is an incredibly active path. But all the action is focused on these tiny, hidden acts of love and patience, especially towards the people who are the absolute hardest to love. That, That is the real proving ground. And just look at this list. I mean, none of these are grand, heroic gestures. This is the small, moment-to-moment stuff we all face. Putting up with someone's flaws, not being shocked when they mess up, doing a favor for someone you know will never thank you, or just managing to smile when you really, really want to scowl. This is the tough, gritty work of the little way. And here is a perfect real-world example from her own life. There was another sister in her convent that she just found incredibly irritating. So what did she do? Instead of avoiding her or snapping at her, she made it her personal mission to actively serve that sister. And every time she was tempted to say something sharp, she forced herself to give a friendly smile instead. That is the theory in action. That is love under pressure. So what happens when you do this? What's the result of all these tiny daily efforts? Well, this last section is all about the profound transformation that happens when you consistently choose the little way. What happens is a kind of spiritual magic. By leaning into her weakness and making these little acts of love her entire focus, she doesn't just put up with her struggles, she actually finds that they become a source of joy. Her heart literally changes. And just listen to the words she uses here. Run with delight. She is not dragging herself up that steep staircase anymore. She's not gritting her teeth trying to be nice. The actual practice of love has become a joy. It's a delight. The path is no longer a burden. It's a source of real, deep happiness. And this really becomes the perfect summary of her entire life's mission. She discovered that her smallness, when offered up in love, creates a brand new kind of song, a canticle of love. Her entire life just becomes an expression of this one simple, powerful idea. So we end with this thought. We spend so much of our lives trying to fix our weaknesses, trying to become bigger, stronger, more capable. But what if this 19th century saint was onto something huge? What if real greatness, the actual elevator to heaven, is found not in getting rid of our littleness, but in embracing it with total trust and love?